Fereydun's Code: Justice in the Digital Age. Fereydun Dadgar, a young man with a determination that could move mountains, stared at the lines of code scrolling across his computer screen. At 19, he was already making waves in Tehran's tech scene, but tonight he was after bigger prey. His fight was not against technology itself, but against its unethical use. "Got you," he whispered, a grim smile playing on his lips as he finally breached the firewall of Zahik Industries. This tech conglomerate had been exploiting user data and manipulating markets for years. Fereydun's fingers flew across the keyboard, downloading evidence of corruption, privacy violations, and worse. He had been building towards this moment for months, driven by a sense of justice that was not just a flame but a blazing inferno in his chest. As the download bar progressed, Fereydun's mind drifted to his grandmother's stories, tales from the Shahnameh of his namesake, the legendary King Fereydun, who had overthrown the tyrannical Zahik. "You carry the blood of heroes," she would say, her eyes twinkling. "Never forget that with great power comes great responsibility." A sharp knock at the door jolted Fereydun back to reality. His heart raced as he quickly encrypted the downloaded files and shut down his system. Opening the door, he found himself face to face with his best friend, Kava, the tension in the room palpable. Kava had always been there for Fereydun, a voice of reason and a source of strength amid chaos. "Dude, you missed the protest again," Kava said, pushing past Fereydun into the apartment. "We needed you out there. Your voice matters." Fereydun sighed, running a hand through his unruly black hair. I know. But trust me, I'm fighting the good fight in my way." Kava's eyes narrowed. "You're not still on about that hacking stuff, are you?" "Fereydun, that's dangerous. Zahik Industries isn't just some corporation, they've got the government in their pocket." "Someone has to stand up to them," Fereydun replied, his voice low but intense. "They're strangling this country, Kava. Crushing innovation, stifling free speech, and selling our data to the highest bidder. Nothing will be left to protest if we don't act now." Before Kava could respond, both phones buzzed with a news alert. Fereydun's blood ran cold as he read the headline: "Terrorist cyber attack on Zahik Industries. CEO Mardas Zoic vows retaliation." "Oh no," Kava breathed. "Fereydun, tell me this wasn't you." But Fereydun was already moving, grabbing his laptop and a go bag he kept packed for emergencies. "I have to go. It's not safe for me here anymore," he said, his voice betraying his fear for safety. He was leaving behind his family, friends, and the life he knew, all for the sake of justice. "Wait," Kava grabbed his arm. "Where will you go? What should I tell your family?" Fereydun paused at the door, his eyes meeting Kava's. Tell them I'm fulfilling my namesake's legacy. And Kava, be careful. Things are about to get messy." As Fereydun disappeared into the night, Kava couldn't shake the feeling that he had just witnessed the beginning of something much bigger than either of them realized. Over the following weeks, Tehran was in turmoil. Zahik Industries, claiming to be the victim of terrorism, pushed for stricter internet controls and surveillance measures. But at the same time, damning evidence of the company's misdeeds began to leak online, sparking protests and calls for an investigation. Fereydun, meanwhile, was on the run. He moved from safe house to safe house, relying on a network of hacktivists and dissidents he had cultivated over the years. He continued his digital assault on Zahik, dismantling their systems piece by piece and exposing their lies. But Mardas Zoic, the CEO of Zahik Industries, was not going down without a fight. He deployed an army of cyber mercenaries to hunt down Fereydun and spread disinformation to discredit the leaks. As the conflict escalated, Fereydun found himself at a crossroads. He had the skills to eradicate Zahik's infrastructure, potentially weakening the company and large swathes of Iran's economy. The temptation to deliver a killing blow was strong. Late one night, as Fereydun wrestled with this decision, he fell into a troubled sleep. In his dreams, he found himself in an ancient palace, face to face with a regal figure who could only be the legendary Fereydun. "You bear a heavy burden, young one," the ancient king said, his voice echoing with wisdom and power. "But remember, true victory lies not in destruction but in restoration. Justice without mercy is merely vengeance." Fereydun awoke with a start, the dream still vivid in his mind. He realized then that he had been going about this all wrong. It wasn't enough to tear down the corrupt system, he needed to build something better. With renewed purpose, Fereydun reached out to his network. He connected with ethical tech leaders, reform-minded politicians, and grassroots organizers. Together, they began to craft a vision for Iran's fair and transparent digital future. As Fereydun worked, he considered the legendary Fereydun's most famous act, dividing his kingdom among his 3 sons. The lesson was clear: power should not be concentrated in one place but distributed fairly. Applying this principle to the digital realm, Fereydun and his allies developed a decentralized Internet protocol that would make it nearly impossible for any entity to monopolize or manipulate online spaces. They called it the Far Protocol, after the divine glory said to shine upon just rulers in Persian mythology. This protocol, if implemented, could revolutionize the digital landscape, ensuring justice and shared prosperity for all. It was a testament to the power of ethical use of technology in shaping a fair and transparent future. But Fereydun knew that code alone wasn't enough. The people needed to understand what was at stake. In a daring move, he decided to come out of hiding and address the public directly. On a warm summer evening, as thousands gathered in Azadi Square for another protest, giant screens around the plaza suddenly flickered to life. Fereydun's face appeared calm and resolute. "People of Iran," he began, his voice ringing out across the square, "I am the one Zahik Industries has labeled a terrorist. But I am not here to destroy. I am here to rebuild." Over the next hour, Fereydun laid out everything: the extent of Zahik's corruption, the potential of the Far Protocol, and his vision for a free and fair digital future. He called on the people to demand better from their leaders and technology. As he spoke, a wave of determination and hope swept through the crowd, igniting a fire of change that would not be quickly extinguished. "We stand at a crossroads," Fereydun concluded. "We can allow fear and greed to shape our digital future, or we can choose a path of justice, transparency, and shared prosperity. The choice is ours." As Fereydun's image faded from the screens, the square erupted in cheers and discussion. The speech went viral, spreading across Iran and beyond, igniting a global conversation about digital rights and corporate accountability. The aftermath was not easy. Fereydun faced arrest and prosecution, but his public stand had turned him into a symbol. Supporters rallied around him, and his trial became a referendum on digital freedom. In the end, Fereydun was vindicated. Zahik Industries collapsed under the weight of its corruption, with Mardas Zoic and his cronies facing justice. The Far Protocol was adopted first by grassroots networks, then by forward-thinking tech companies, and finally by the government. Years later, Fereydun stood on a stage, preparing to address the United Nations Conference on Digital Rights. As he looked out over the audience, he caught sight of a familiar face, Kava, now a prominent digital rights advocate himself. Fereydun smiled, thinking of how far they had come. He thought of his namesake, the legendary king who had ushered in an era of justice and prosperity. Fereydun realized that he had done the same, not with a mace or a crown, but with code and courage. As he began his speech, Fereydun felt the weight of history on his shoulders, and its wind at his back. He had faced his Zahik, not with violence but with vision. He had divided not a kingdom but knowledge and power, ensuring the digital realm would be a space of justice and opportunity for all. At that moment, Fereydun understood that the old stories were not just tales but blueprints, lessons passed down through generations, waiting for the right moment to spring to life and change the world again.